News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. It is the Chris Crock Show, and we have an impeachment.
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 213. The resolution is adopted.
Amen, as I would say in church. Amen. Fantastic. I love it. And it came to as a shock to many of us today because none of us were expecting this. Now, we knew there was going to be a second vote. We knew they had to wait for GOP whip Steve Scalise in the House to come back, majority whip. And he was doing cancer treatment. He did come back from Louisiana where he was receiving cancer treatment, or in D.C., wherever it was. And he did vote to impeach, and he did whip up the votes. So we now have Alejandro Mayorkas impeached. He is, I believe, the second or third in our history of this country being impeached, and it is very rare, as it should be. The reason why is because this is extremely rare, and it is not something to play with unless your last name is Trump and your first name is Donald. Then you can impeach the guy for you're not flushing the toilet twice, or not putting the seat down, right? I mean, it's that way, and we know that. But this is because the man is derelict in his duty, and it's official. Now, there isn't a chance in snowball's chance in hell of this actually going through in the Senate and being codified, if you will, or being convicted. But it's true, and no one thought it would be conviction in the Senate next. They're going to immediately dismiss it and try to get it off the front pages. But here's why, to me, this is so important and so good, and I'm so happy about it. Because, honestly, it's really simple. And I'm showing our listeners live on the Chris Crock Show Facebook Live on Facebook at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrock. And right here now, he is not protecting us. He is not protecting us. And that's what his job is, right? Homeland Security Secretary. His job is to freaking protect us. He is not. He is unleashed, and I could care less if the Senate doesn't vote to impeach him. It doesn't, or to convict him. Doesn't matter. He now has a mark on his record. The United States House of Representatives, who the people put in across this nation, have now impeached this DHS secretary. And that is a stain and a mark on Joe Biden's cabinet member. You cannot, it is an indelible stain. It will never be removed. You don't need a conviction to be impeached. He is impeached. He will always be perhaps the only, actually, the DHS secretary is what, 20 years old, the position, about 22 years old, 23 years old. And you can check that, producer Garrett. But it clearly, because that happened after 9/11, we never had a DHS secretary until 9/11. That's why I know that. I could be out by 1 year, but the point is, no Homeland Security secretary has ever been impeached since we created the DHS secretary after 9/11. And I'm confident of that because I've never heard of anyone getting impeached, and I would have been talking about it on the radio. So what this means is this cabinet has never been impeached before, and it has, because this man is not protecting us. And Joe Biden will do nothing. Democrats will dismiss it, but the American people see it. And they see the House convicted this man or impeached this man. And that's it. It shows in 5 words, if we include the word is. He is not protecting us. 5 words. That's his dang job. We see, and I'll get more details on this in a second, but we see in the New York Post today, a deadly alliance brewing between MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is the most violent, unbelievably powerful terrorist gang out of Venezuela, but they are not just in Venezuela. They're here in America now because of Joe Biden and because of Alejandro Mayorkas. And by the way, Alejandro Mayorkas could have done his job. And you just got to know that if he would have actually done his job and protected us, the border, Joe Biden would have fired him. And that's really what it is. I understand it's ultimately Joe Biden who is to blame for this. But this is our justice. This is a mark. And even though Joe Biden won't do anything to him, he'll probably give him an award after this, a congressional medal or something like that. But if he were to leave, then the next person who comes in will be doing the same thing, because that's what Joe Biden wants, amnesty for all, wholesale invasion. But nonetheless, so DHS Secretary Mayorkas has let in Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua, who's now merging with MS-13 in America only. They're now replacing the methods in New York, recruiting illegals in shelters, and they're robbing, beating, shooting, killing, kidnapping, home invasions in Miami, and they're now in Chicago, and they're also in New York. Here's my questions for you. Are you glad Mayorkas was just impeached? Why do you think he lied? Because he did lie. The border is secure, he said in his pedo voice. And do you think this is going to change anything, the impeachment of Mayorkas? Do you think he's right that this 3-year invasion, Mayorkas, when he said this 3-year invasion is not his and Joe Biden's fault? Do you think he's right about that? And do you think the third world violence now in America that Joe Biden brought in and Mayorkas brought in will get much worse than we're seeing now? And my answer to that is, heck yeah. What do you think? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. I want to hear from you right now. 4 lines open, 800-288-WBAP. Let's go to Mark in Dallas. You're on WBAP. Hello, Mark, on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you doing? Chris, I have a serious question. How can you impeach an appointed official? It seems like you'd want to impeach the one who appointed him.
Well, I would agree, but you can impeach a cabinet member. And so they've done that because he's lying and failing to do his job. And the next thing would be to impeach Biden. I agree. He's the one responsible for all this. This is what he wants. He wants Tren de Agua to come, murder us, home invade us, rape us, kill us, steal our money, and send it back to Venezuela for the gang. They're operating fully now here like they're in Venezuela, but they actually have low fruit here.
Is a waste of time.
They have low fruit here. Go ahead. What?
It just seems like that impeachment is a waste of time without
why
do you say so?
Going
to the person who appointed him.
Tell me why you think that's so. Tell me that.
He can appoint anybody else he wants to.
And they can impeach that person if they do the same thing. That's my point. And they should impeach Joe, too. I agree with you. But this is fantastic because Joe Biden cannot remove this from his presidency and from his cabinet in impeachment.
In other words, you're saying it's just a scar on him.
What I'm saying is we can't remove this guy because we don't control the Senate. What I'm saying is we can't remove the president because the Senate won't vote to convict Biden either. So what we can do is put marks on them. We can hit them as hard as we can in any way we can.
I
Think about Trump. Think about Trump. How does Trump operate? And pray to God he'll be president this fall. How does Trump operate? He's like a sperm cell. All the millions of sperm cells all around the ovum. And they're trying to get in there to form the spermatozoon, the spermatozoon with the ovum, whatever you want to call it. The conceptus is what it's called. And what they're doing is they're coming from every angle, hundreds and thousands of them at least, and they're coming and trying to get in there. And eventually, one gets in. Trump does the same thing with trying to get stuff done. He'll try 50 things, get struck down by courts, get stopped, but he keeps trying until he wins. This is one of the sperms that didn't make it all the way, but got in halfway, and we'll take it. Anything we can get.
All right.
So are you okay with that? Because we put a mark on him, we can use it as a campaign, we can use it in speeches.
I'd rather go after Biden.
I do too, but is something better than nothing? Is a mark
appointing him?
But you know what? You cannot stop Biden because the Senate won't vote to convict. So I think you can impeach Biden, you can impeach Mayorkas, and it's not going to finish off anything, but it'll get stuff started. So does it make sense to do this? And I mean, do you see where I'm coming from on this? The mark is good. The indelible mark is good.
It still seems to me to impeach a non-elected official is a waste.
I understand. But would you just rather you want to just impeach Biden? You wouldn't even do this if you were the House.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay. Well, I disagree. I think they should impeach Biden and him. But thank you for your call. I appreciate your thoughts tonight, Mark.
All right.
800-288-WBAP is the number, 800-288-9227. I want to hear from you next. I have more details on the deadly alliance between MS-13 and Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua. Also, Chicago hit hard. Democrats are flipping on the woke Marxist mayor there. And also, we got so much more, guys. Coming up next, You're going to hear more about the violence and how massive this gang is that's sprouting up all over our country. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I want to hear from you right now. Are you glad Mayorkas was just impeached earlier, like at last hour pretty much? Why do you think he lied? And do you think it'll change anything? And do you think Mayorkas is right that this 3-year invasion is not his and Joe Biden's fault, which is hard to say that without laughing? And do you think the third world violence in America that Joe Biden's brought in will get much worse than what we're seeing right now? It does, and it will. I'll tell you about that coming up next. Want to hear from you, 800-288-WBAP. News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Chris Crock Show, 800-288-WBAP. Lines wide open for you at 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Mayorkas impeached. Are you glad he was just impeached on a vote, the very narrow vote, 214 to 213? But nonetheless, it's a stain, an indelible forever stain, and it's on Joe Biden and on his cabinet member, which I say, A to the men. We are watching the special election to replace George Santos in New York. The problem with that is, the very difficult problem with that is the Democrats voted, I think they had 8,000 ballots in early voting. And the Republicans tend to vote on day of, which is we cannot do that anymore. We've got to fight this war on the same level playing field. Dang it. And also they had a massive snowstorm today, and people were told today, do not go out on the roads the whole day in the morning. So it might be really bad for turnout for us, and we might not keep that seat. But we'll see. I guess if the people of New York want more illegal invasion and destruction of their property and everything, and people stealing stuff and selling it and sending their money back to Venezuela, God bless you. But keep that crap out of here. Enjoy your sanctuary with the illegals. Are you glad Mayorkas was just impeached? Why do you think he lied? He did. He lied that the border was secure and that. And he lied that he was protecting us. He's not protecting us. It's 5 words why we impeached him. I'm grateful we did. I know it won't be a conviction in the Senate, but it's a stain on his resume. It's a stain on him, and it's a stain on this administration that can never be removed. So for that, I say good. Are you glad he was impeached? Why do you think he lied? That is Mayorkas. And do you think this is going to change anything? You think Mayorkas is right that this 3-year invasion is not his and Joe Biden's fault? Yeah, right. And then do you think the third world violence in America that Biden's brought in is going to get much worse than what we're seeing right now? And look, it's amazing how plugged in and an expert that our friend of this show, Jason Jones, retired DPS captain, head of border operations, counterterrorism, counterintelligence for our border. He now is a Newsmax border correspondent, goes on the border every other day. Up in the bird, in the chopper, everything. So, and he told us that this is going to be much worse. The violence and the drugs and the killings and the stealing, the rape, the burglary, the robbery, the shooting at cops, the killing people is all you ain't seen nothing. It's just getting started. You'll start seeing an amazing amount 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line. And it's all Joe's fault, and the Democrats will lie and say it's Trump's fault or whatever. But we know the truth, and we've beholden these 12 to 14 million illegals. By the time Joe's out, they will have invaded us, if not more. We've had, I think, the highest amount ever in the first 3 or 4 months of the fiscal year, somewhere around 1 million illegals. We're on par to do, I think, 3 or 4 million, but that's not including the gotaways. You can throw in another. There's 1.5 million gotaways. There's tons of MS-13, Tren de Aragua. You know what happened? Tren de Aragua has what they've decided. They're smart. They operate in many countries. They're notorious. They're the most powerful Venezuelan gang in a land that is forsaken in a third world country. And they also run out of Colombia, Peru, and Chile. They're just like the Mexican narcos, but they're here and they're open. They're in Chicago, Miami, according to the New York Post today, and New York, and they're merging with MS-13 when it's appropriate for them to do it to get their power. They're using their methods that are wildly successful in South America and Central America, and they are now coming here because there's stuff to steal here, and our guard is down. You know what else is just vile? I don't know if you caught this today. This is a woman in Boston She is bragging about how she has a Haitian illegal woman living with her, and that she is now, it's slavery. It literally is. She's an African-American, well, she's a Haitian African woman, black woman, and this woman is this liberal, like talking like, I'm a child, I'm a loopy child with millions of dollars, and she's got this illegal African black woman from Haiti, a personal chef. She's taken in this illegal, and she's her personal chef. Listen to this.
It's a delight, and it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking.
They are hardworking. They want to learn. They want to be successful, and I feel great helping, and I get to understand the refugee crisis from the inside.
Lisa says she's so impressed by the number of people she's met right here at Brookline Town Hall meetings who've been stepping up and hosting families. She's hopeful more will do the same in the coming days and weeks.
I want to have more of them. Hold on one second. Get to work! The eggs are burnt! Make them better! Or I'll throw you on the street and get another one. Who will pay me to work in my house? I'll charge them rent. Get to work, you! I'm not letting you stay rent-free for nothing. And I want foie gras tomorrow. Make it. Right? Turn into Mommy Dearest with you used wire hangers. No wire hangers, right? Meantime, Chicago, you have a Democrat running for Cook County Board of Commissioners, which is the most powerful executive for the Cook County, which is Chicago County, with 4 million people in there, actually probably 5 or 6. And she is a Democrat calling out Brandon Johnson. And she says it's a Biden thing, a Pritzker thing, who's their governor, and Brandon Johnson. They want sanctuary cities. It's not Abbott's fault. He didn't ask for it. There's a division in our Democrat Party. It's weakened. It's going to get worse. The city of Chicago voters have woken up, and the state of Illinois voters have awakened, and they're not standing with our old leadership. She said if they don't, the immigration crisis is going to flip the state purple, which I don't know about that. But and you have a Southside activist that represents many African-American folks in South Chicago that says you had thousands of homeless people in Chicago already that were never ever focused on, like they are focusing on the illegal migrants. If I was the mayor, I'd make an executive decision to bring it into sanctuary city status. So everything's working. It's brilliant. And there you have it, y'all. Okay, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, we're going to talk about the Senate passing Ukraine aid early this morning. Oh, my gosh. I got lots to say on that. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP. Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Our number is 214, excuse me. That's not 214. It's 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Who's on first? Where am I, Joe Biden? Our number's 800-288-9227. Line's wide open for you. I wanted to finish off on the illegal invasion, and then we're going to get to Ukraine. Prepare yourself. Get your prayer mat to bow down on your, get on your knees and lay prostrate and worship the Ukrainian flag. Get your Ukrainian flags, okay? Get your Ukrainian handkerchiefs to tie them around the top of your head, and get that flag out. And get your shrine of Zelensky, open it up, get the candles lit. In a few minutes, we will begin our adoration and worship of Zelensky. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You give me your money. You come here. Kiss my ring. Hold my leg. Come to me. Give me your money. Give me your money. Yes. My wife needs another shopping trip. Yes. You need to pay for our pensions and our small businesses. Yes, you need to pay. Chris was telling you the other day. Hello, Chris. Thank you for letting me take over your show. I do that in my country. I take over all the broadcast media. I shut down the broadcast and TV that reports the truth on me. I shut down the churches, the largest church. If I don't like what they say, even though it's Christianity. Yes, come hold my leg. Hey, my wife wants another luxury shopping trip. She needs mink coats for fall and for spring. She only has for winter. So prepare your worship altars for Zelensky and get your tithe ready. Have you tithed this month yet for Zelensky? Have you tithed whenever your paycheck is weekly, biweekly, monthly? Get your tithe ready. We're going to be presenting our tithes and offering to Zelensky, okay? All right. That's in just a moment. But meantime, I want to share a little bit more with you. Mayorkas impeached. Are you glad he's impeached? Why do you think he lied about saying the country is safe? His job is to keep us safe. He didn't. It's that simple. It's a stain and a mark. It's indelible. So that's why I support it, even if it doesn't do anything, because the Senate won't convict. But couple of things you need to hear to finish off on this illegal invasion that are must-hears that I have not gotten to since it came out. Sheriff in Ohio was one of the 3,300 sheriffs in the United States who had a meeting with Mayorkas. I'm sorry, not Mayorkas. Forgive me, the FBI. And this Ohio sheriff spoke to the media, and he said, I can't tell you everything, but we're in a terrible way. Butler County Sheriff Richard Jones, we were told by the FBI Director Chris Wray, it is not a matter of if a terrorist attack, but when. The president refused to meet with us sheriffs. He said Chris Wray told them that there are more red flags going off now than before 9/11. He said that, when I said red flags, the sheriff said, meaning that people who are here in this country that are wanting to do us harm. There's thousands of people here from countries, 160 countries, different countries. They're not here to be our friends. I can't tell you everything, but I want the public to know we are in a terrible way right now. We're just defense. We're not on offense. We're not protecting. We're just defense. We're absorbing these attacks, he says. We are in other countries. We're supplying them with weapons. Ukraine, yes, you send me your money. We're preparing your worship service in a minute. We're supplying them, the sheriff says, with our treasure, our money, and we're not doing much back home. We train for school shootings. And he says what we do when we get there, mall shootings. That's what they're doing. They're literally preparing for shootings. They're preparing for a terrorist attack. He says we are now starting to train civilians on what to do when disasters and emergencies hit because of what Chris Wray said. Get ready, have your Band-Aids ready, and your stitches and your emergency room people ready. He says the Border Patrol also had 5 Chinese nationals in the country illegally arrested in Indio, California, with 23 fake Pennsylvania DLs, driver license, thousands of gift cards and other merchandise found when they were stopped at a checkpoint inspection. Also, real quick, new from Axios, which is a liberal publication, 5-page spread, how Biden botched the border. Bill Melugin from Fox News truncated this with a few notes. Biden exploded with rage at his team aboard Air Force One on the way to the border last year. Susan Rice called HHS Secretary Javier Becerra, forgive my language, but I'm just quoting her. She called Javier Becerra, Susan Rice did, bitch ass and idiot. That's professionalism. Bitch ass. What are you, a thug thistle? Are you a thugette? A former Biden administration official says to Axios that Harris has been, at best, ineffective. That's Kamala! That's our real president, guys. Are you excited? Mayorkas disagreed with Biden's 100-day halt on deportations. Doesn't matter. That's why Biden should be impeached for this. Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall displayed inexperience, asked for a memo to explain the difference between refugees and asylum seekers. I want to hear from you right now. Chime in. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Are you glad Mayorkas was just impeached tonight? Why do you think he lied? Do you think it'll change anything? Do you think Mayorkas is right that this 3-year invasion is not his and Joe Biden's fault? Yeah, right. And do you think the third world violence in America that Joe Biden brought in will get much worse than we're seeing right now, which we know the answer is yes. A couple more points, and we're going to get into Ukraine. Are you ready? Stand by. The Biden administration has listened to vocal immigration advocates, the illegal invasion advocates outside the administration. They're in charge. The White House generally did not want to talk publicly about immigration on the border much of Biden's first 3 years, feeling it would draw attention to a political vulnerability. Hide it. Hide it. Right? Yes, are you dying from cancer? Hide it from your wife and your kids. They don't want to bum you out. Let them die. Isn't that funny? He thinks if he can cover up the turd that's on the floor, that you won't smell it. That's what this is. He took a dump in the middle of the floor, and he threw a napkin over it, expecting us not to see it. And he's pretending that it's not there. So, what do you mean turd? You could smell it, dude. I see it over there in that napkin. Oh, there's no turd here. Publicly, the White House also initially downplayed jumps in illegal border crossings as normal ebbs and flows. Even as some internally pushed to acknowledge that the problem was significant, fighting incompetence and indifference regarding the administration's handling of the border over the last 3 years. That's what liberal Democrat Axios reported yesterday in a 5-page spread. So we all know the truth, and it's been printed by leftists now, okay? I want to get into Ukraine. $95 billion bill passed for Ukraine. They woke up, and they were on the Senate floor before most of us were getting up. We're up at 5:30 in the morning, and they passed this garbage. And undoubtedly, they were so happy. You must do this. You must. Ukraine's border is paramount. Nothing else matters. This is for our future, our safety, the world. It's almost as bad as the existential threat of climate change. Climate. We care about the climate. $95 billion, B as in boy, has been passed, and nothing for our border. And, of course, we don't want the money. He'll just get it to have more Border Patrol to be babysitters and butt wipers and processors to stamp and let in, stamp and let in. I want to ask you some questions on this, as Dwayne would say. By the way, this is something else you need to hear about. Senator Rand Paul and J.D. Vance, both of them have come out and said there is an impeachment bomb in this bill. Did you know that? It's an impeachment bomb. What is that? What does that mean? I'm going to tell you why there's an impeachment bomb in here. So that if President Trump wins in 8 months, or 9 months, whatever it is, that he cannot stop funding Ukraine for 2 years. And if he does, they're going to impeach him. I'll explain coming up next. I'll give you some of the list of some of the Republicans you and I know of, including one of our senators here who voted for this garbage and could care less about our country and us. I'll tell you which of those countries also that are NATO that Trump says, screw them, let Russia have them, which one of them are not spending the 2% minimum that are going to be left on their own, the Trump administration. All that's coming up next. I want to ask you some questions on this. And here you're calling right now. Chime in now. Line's wide open for you at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Should the House kill this bill that funds Ukraine but not our country? Should the House kill this bill also because it forces the next administration for 2 years in a row to fully fund this endless war with no hope of winning and no gain and no end in sight? That's next. I want to hear from you at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Get ready to bow down. Zelensky will be entering the room shortly.
I think it says that it's going to come out of the Senate. We hope this will keep up this vote with a strong bipartisan vote, a lot of momentum. And again, the situation in Ukraine is getting worse by the day in terms of low stocks of ammunition. So I think that the House will face a moment of truth.
Well, that was Chris Van Hollen. Guys, we need this $60 billion of our money. Actually, $95 billion Ukraine. Oh, it's Ukraine and Israel. So, yeah, it was $60 billion. I was right. In this money, not for our border, not to help protect us from all the illegals invading here, from violent gangs, not from the terrorists that are about to strike, that are already here, based on what Chris Wray is telling sheriffs and has told us publicly. We need it for Ukraine. This is for democracy. This is for the fate of the world. Without us, what's his name? Putin will take over everything. Everything. Well, the Senate voted for it. The House will not take it up based on what we're hearing right now, and nor will it pass. and I don't want it to pass. Do you want it to pass? Do you want the House to kill this bill that funds Ukraine, but not our country? Or do you get excited about funding people that own small businesses all across Ukraine? Pensions for Ukraine government workers, firefighters across the entire country. We're funding the entire firefighters of every one of them in the entire country of Ukraine. And if a cat goes up a tree and they got to rescue it in an area of Ukraine that's not getting attacked, we're going to pay for that. And I literally saw a woman featured in a Wall Street Journal article who she has a small business that's knitting. And we're paying for her small business to keep going. Now, I don't know about you, but I have not received a sweater or a scarf. I've not received a pair of socks. I haven't even received one sock. I haven't even received a sock the size of a baby's foot from this woman, but I'm paying a lot for it. I paid for that for somebody. But she could be using that for corruption like most of Ukraine does. Who knows? What do you say? Do you want to pass this Ukraine aid, $60 billion, to give to them for their border and their country and their safety, but not ours? Should we kill? I say heck no, unequivocally. No. You know what's funny? Joe Biden criticizes Israel. I want to hear from you right now, by the way. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Senator Rand Paul says this aid package would tie the hand of future administrations. J.D. Vance calls it properly and rightfully so. He calls it the Ukraine aid bill a impeachment time bomb, because what it says is whoever the president is come November, beginning in January 1st, whoever the president is must fully fund this bill's financing and must fully fund the Ukraine war through 2024, 2025, and I can't remember if it's 2026 as well. And if you don't, there's a good chance that you can be impeached because you're violating what Congress passed as a law and spending, giving it to another country's borders, not ours. It is an impeachment trap. My answer is H-E double hockey sticks no to this horrible bill. And Joe Biden himself is throwing Israel under the bus for the Hamas supporters, the Muslim community of Michigan, which is around the same or more than the amount of the percentage by which, or the votes by which Joe Biden allegedly won Michigan. And so the Muslim community was going to meet with Kamala this week. But guess what happened? On Sunday, they said, don't show up. We don't want to meet with you. We won't meet with you. Don't show up. They canceled the meeting. So they are sitting there trying to attack Israel verbally and have Biden throw them under the bus and go after them. And, what am I supposed to say? Where am I? But guess what Biden said about Israel with Hamas? Quote, Israel has no clear resolution. He sees no clear ending to the war. Excuse me, are you talking about Ukraine? Israel's war is very clear. Capture or kill every member of Hamas and all its leaders and rid Gaza of all Hamas terrorists, and then kill all the leaders across the world that executed this and are in charge of that terrorist organization. There is clear resolution. That's the job. Now, it ain't done yet. Here's the full list of Republicans who voted against military aid, and I will tell you, John Cornyn voted for it because John Cornyn doesn't like us. He despises us, MAGA supporters, and John Cornyn cares so much more about Ukraine's border. Yes, Chris. Hello, President Zelensky. Yes, John Cornyn. He's a good man. He come over here. He toured. He come to Ukraine. He kissed my rump. He humped my leg. He kissed this ring on my finger. He gives me more money for luxury, for corruption. Yes, Chris. Marsha Blackburn voted for it. Braun from Indiana. Just some notables. There's more that I'm going to mention. Tom Cotton from Arkansas. Ted Cruz, who's got things on his head on his shoulders properly. Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. Marco Rubio. Tim Scott from South Carolina and Tim Scott from Florida. Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, and J.D. Vance from Ohio. Chuck Schumer said Monday's procedural vote, which now is codified by the Senate at least, proves beyond a doubt the strong support. Yes! Hey, here's the countries in NATO that are not paying their fair share. There's a bunch of them, but I'll just mention France, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, Germany, Czech Republic, Portugal, Italy, Canada, Slovenia, Turkey, Spain, and Belgium. Trump says, screw you, you're on your own. Hey, we'll talk to Josh and Wiley coming up next on the Chris Crock Show about this Ukraine bill. Maybe he wants to bless President Zelensky and hump his leg as he is demanding. We're going to take his call, talk to you too at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Should the House kill this bill that funds Ukraine, but not our country? Also, worst drivers in the U.S. rankings. Worst drivers in the U.S. How bad are we? Bad. That's next too.